Hello and welcome. My name is James. I'm an Oracle database consultant and trainer. In this particular video, having interacted with different students, I've noticed that many have a challenge of installing Oracle database and playing around with it. So I decided to make it a bit easy. So I'm going to take you through the installation of Oracle database 12c release 2 on Oracle Linux. We're going to use Oracle Linux 7.3, and also we're going to install that on Oracle VirtualBox. So there are three things we need to do first. So there are three softwares that we need to download. Source softwares to download. Number one, we're going to download the VirtualBox box software. And two, we're going to download the Oracle Linux 7.3 software. And three, we're going to download the Oracle database 12c release 2 software. So those are the three softwares we are going to download. And after downloading them, then we shall start the process of installing each one of them and also creating a database. So let's start with the first one, which is the VirtualBox. So we, from your terminal here, let's enter VirtualBox. So you click on Oracle VirtualBox. You come here to downloads. Now, depending on which host you're having, I'm going to do that on a Windows host. So I'm going to click on Windows hosts. And as you can see, the software is now downloading. So I will stop this until when possible. Now, the software is already downloaded. So as you can see here, if we open the containing folder, we're able to see the software downloaded here. So let's run it. So we double click on that. So from the welcome, so you go next. Then you choose the location. If you want to change the location, I'll just leave that at default. Next. You can create a shortcut on the desktop, create a start menu entry, create a quick on the launch bar, a shortcut on the launch bar, and register file associations. I think I'll just leave that default. Then you say yes to proceed with the installation. So I will not proceed from here because already I have a VirtualBox software installed on my machine. But for yourself, you just finalize on this process and then you launch it. Okay. So I'll just say no for now. But if you're doing this for the first time, make sure you finalize the installation. Okay. Great. So from here, we are going to start the Oracle because I already have the Oracle VirtualBox here. So I will just open it up. So once I start it, I expect you to have this after the installation. Okay, after you've done the installation Oracle VirtualBox, this is the window that I expect you to have after you start your VirtualBox software. So so if this is a window that you have, then we are together and we are fine. Okay, if not, again, you can try, install, and make sure you're here. So I'll go to new. We want to create a disk, a virtual disk image. So we go to new here. Give it a name. You can call it whatever. So I'll call it, for example, Oracle disk. Choose the location where you want to install it or to set it up. So for example, for me, let me choose my external stick here. Then it's a Linux type. The version is Oracle 64-bit. Next. Then here you choose a RAM that you want to set up. So I'll choose 4000 RAM. Then next, it's a virtual hard disk. So click create. It's a VDI, virtual disk image. Now you can choose to dynamically allocate or on a fixed size. So I'll just choose fixed size because it's a bit faster when working with it later, okay? So though it will take some time to create, but I always prefer using the fixed size. But you can choose dynamically allocated, which is a faster way of creating the virtual disk image. So here you choose the size of your image. So I'll choose 100. Now you can have 100, 150. So anything between that is quite okay for later installing the Oracle database. Then click on create. So creation of the fixed medium storage will start. So this is going to take some time. So I'll pause this until when we are done. Great, I believe you are done, and this is where we are now. If you're here, then kudos, that's nice. So this is our disk already. So we're going to go to settings, under settings, under system. We remove this floppy, and then we take this down so that it can boot from optical, then hard disk. Then under processors, I can just put 2 CPUs. Then on display, nothing to change there. On storage, now this is important because this is where now we're going to attach our disk, our image, okay? So we need to ensure that we have downloaded the 2 softwares, the Oracle Linux software and Oracle database software. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's go to e-delivery Oracle. From e-delivery, go to Oracle Software Delivery Cloud. So we sign in. It's going to use my account to sign in. So if you don't have an account, an Oracle account, it's easy. You just go to oracle.com and create an Oracle account. So from here, we the category, let's choose Oracle Linux. Then you choose Oracle Linux 7.3. That's the one we want to install. So it's been added. So come here, if you view the items, you can see it is already there. Okay, so we can click continue. So this is the Oracle Linux we want to download and set up. So I'll just say continue for now. Accept the license. Then click continue. Remove this story of feedback for now. Now, I just want to get the ISO image. So I'll uncheck that and then just choose this. This is the image that I'm interested with, okay? The one with 4.3 GB. So you just choose that and then you click on download. So it's going to download the single sign-on first before I do the download. So once that one is done, open it. Then you double click on it. Few minutes, it should be able to start. So just click install anyway. It's complaining a bit, but no issue. Then you choose the destination folder. So we do it at, can do it to downloads or wherever you want to do that. And then you next. And it's now downloading. Okay. So as you can see here, that is downloading. So that will continue for some time before it finishes. So I'm going to actually, let me also, I'm going to post that now till when it's done. Okay, so the next software we're going to download is the Oracle database software. So you can go back here again. Or you can start the whole process depending on which one is faster for you. But still on e-delivery, then here we come and choose Oracle database. So from Oracle database, we are interested in 12C release 2. This is what we're interested with, but this is the vault. Yeah, so choose this here. So add it to the downloads. So if you view items, you're going to see it here. So we can't remove the Linux one. So we remain with only the database one, and then we continue. Okay, so again, I remove all this. I'm interested with Oracle database 12C, only the database part. And then I choose here the platform is for Linux, a 64-bit. So once that is done, you click continue. And then you follow the process, accept the license and do the download. Okay, so I've already done the download, so I don't really have to do this now, but ensure that you have downloaded the Oracle Linux 7.3 and Oracle Database 12C release 2 software. So make sure you have those 2 softwares with you. Okay, great. So after that install, download is done. So the next thing we're going to do is here on this disk, we're going to attach a disk here. So we're going to attach our Oracle Linux disk. So the ISO image that we've downloaded. So I'm going to choose where mine is. It's under training here. It is here. This is the software that we downloaded. So click open. So it has attached that ISO image because this is the ISO image that contains now the software to install what? The Oracle Linux. Okay. Under network here, choose a bridged adapter. And that is it on this setup. So after that, we click OK. Then we start. So just pick the ISO image. So click start. So we can choose install Oracle. Let me maximize this. So say install Oracle 7.3. It's going to take some time, so I'll pause it. Great. So from this window here, we just choose the language I'm going to use is English. So we continue, click on continue. Okay. So I'm just going to leave this date and time at default, nothing on keyboard, nothing on language support. I'm just going to leave that as they are. So under KDump, let me disable that. Then installation destination. This is where now you partition your disk, the one you want to install. So we have our 100 GB disk here. So you come down here, you choose, I will configure the partitioning. Then you click done. Then you let the installation do the partitioning on itself. So click here to create them automatically. So as you can see, it has done the partitioning of the disk. So it has a root partition, it has a swap one, it has a home partition, okay? And the boot partition. So those are the 4 main partitions that we actually require. So and I'm not going to change anything here. So then I'm saying done, then I accept the changes. Okay, so then something else that we need to set up is the software selection. Choose server with Go. This helps you to have the server and then it has a graphical interface. So if you don't choose this, then you'll not have a graphical interface with you, okay? So under add-ons, I'm going to just choose this Java platform and I'm going to choose something on compatibility libraries and development, and then maybe security tools. That's all, then done. The rest, I'm not going to change anything on security policy. I'm not going to change anything on network at the moment. So just waiting for this to be clear. Good. And then we click on begin installation. So as it is doing the installation, we need to to set up the password for the root user. So click here, set up the password for the root user. So I'm going to choose Oracle, and then click done. It's complaining here about the password being weak, but just say, okay. Then we need to create a user, a regular user, because we only have a root user and it's important not to be logging in as root when you're doing your work. So you're going to create a regular user, which is kind of mandatory for you to do that. So let's set the password for that user. So it's complaining, but I'm just going to accept. Okay. So this is going to take some time. So I'm going to pause until when it's done, then we can be able to continue. Great. I want to believe now you're here. We have done the installation of Oracle Linux 7.3 is complete. So we click on reboot. This is going to take some time again. So I'm just going to pause that. Now from this window here, the first thing we're going to do is to accept the license. So click on license information, accept the license agreement, done. Then you click on finish configuration. So that will be it. Then we log in as the user, the regular user we created, James. So we just use that, then password for James. Now you may be having a challenge from moving from one window to the other one. I'll just show you what you need to do. So when this window comes, just click next, next, skip, start using Oracle. One window comes, then close that. Okay. Now, assuming I want to move my mouse from this screen to the next screen, you see it's not able to move there. So for now, you press the Control key on the right of your keyboard. So if I press it, I can see this mouse changes and I can be able to move out, okay? So if I want to click inside the virtual machine, now I have to click on it, okay? So to move out now to my Windows machine, you have to press just press once, the Control key on the right of your keyboard, okay? Then you can be able to now to move, okay? So, and to go back, you just click in, right? Now, so there are three steps that we need to do now to be able to install Oracle database. Okay, there are three steps involved. One is to prepare the environment. And in preparing the environment, we're going to create a user, the user who is going to own the Oracle software. Normally, we create a user called Oracle. Then there are several groups that are going to be created for that particular user. That is still under preparing the environment. There are several directories we're going to create. And also there are some environment variables that we're going to set up. All those is just preparing the environment. Two is we need to install the software. Install Oracle software, the one we downloaded. So basically the binaries. So if it's 12C, you're going to basically install the Oracle 12C binaries. And the third thing we're going to do is to create a database. So those are the three steps that we're going to involve ourselves in when creating or installing the Oracle database. So we prepare the environment, we install the Oracle software, then we create a database. So we're going to be looking at each one of them at a time. Okay. So from here, let's right click at here, then open a terminal. Then I can come here, choose a wired network. So I can connect so that my network is on. Okay, you can see from this icon. So let's switch the user to root. I'll put the password for root. I want to maximize this screen a bit, so I'll go to applications, the system tools, under settings, display settings. Let me change that to, let me see, 1920 if it's gonna be okay. No, let's revert, that is too big. So let me check that and see if it's gonna be fine. Yeah, so let's try and work with that for now. Okay. So after switching user to root, then I'm going to do yum install Oracle database server pre-install. Then I see yes. So this is just a pre-install that will help us to prepare the environment. Okay, so just say enter. So there's something holding yum. That's what it's complaining about. So the best thing to do here is to just to restart this. So exit, we close this, power off the machine. Okay, we start it again. Choosing the different kind of kernels that are there. So it has picked directly the first kernel. So I'm going to pause a bit. Log in as user James. Right click there, open a terminal. Let's switch user to root. Put the password for root. Okay, so let me put the network on. Server. Say option Y. Option Y just it keeps instead of it keeping on prompting me for different things, so it will just install them without prompting me. Okay. Yeah. So does that. Good. So it's downloading that and installing the packages. There are several packages going to do that. So it's finished already. So pause a bit until when it's done. Actually, it's complete even before I pause, so that's okay. So it's complete. Great. So after doing that, the next thing we're going to do is to see if, because the purpose for preparing the environment, the purpose for running that YAM script was basically to prepare the environment. So let's see if that user is created. So if we go to etc password, you can see there is a user here called Oracle. Okay, so we change the password for that user. So the new password prompts us for a new password. We enter the password and then enter the password again. Good. So that user is created and we have set the password for that particular user. So if we also go to the groups, we'll see different groups that have been created. So there is the OInstall group, the DBA group, the OPA, the backup DBA, the DataGuard DBA, the security DBA, KM DBA, and then the rack DBA. And all of them are associated with the user Oracle. Okay. So that was all that we were doing in preparing the environment. So we have created a user Oracle, and then we have been able to change the password, to set the password for that particular user. Then you can see there are groups that have already been created. Okay. Then let's make some directories. So we issue that, make a directory user one. So the purpose for this directory is the directory where it's going to be like your Oracle home, where all the Oracle software for this particular installation are going to be placed. Okay. So assuming I have another, for example, it's a 18C I'm installing on the same server, so I can have a different home for that. Okay. So I can go to this, maybe put 18 point something, maybe DB2 or something like that. Okay. Yeah. So different, I can have different softwares installed here with different homes. Okay. So that one, as we're done creating that particular directory, then if you check on this directory, so if we list user one, you can see that this directory belongs to the root user, okay, and the group root. But we want this directory to be for Oracle user, okay. So we change the ownership, okay, recursively to Oracle on install group. Then this is the username, this is the group that we change directory to, and the directory is that particular directory. So the ownership has changed. So if we again list that, you can see the ownership has changed. Okay. The other thing we need to do is to set up the permissions. Okay. So as you can see, the permission is read, write, and execute for the owner, read and execute for the group, and read and execute for others. So we want to read, write, execute for the owner, read, write, execute for the group, and read and execute for others. Okay, so we use the chmod command. Then we also do that recursively. So we use the notation to give the permissions. Then again on the same directory, okay. So that if we list again, you can see now it has read, write, execute for the owner, read, write, execute for the group, and then read and execute for others. Okay. So far so good. I think you need to be there with me. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, we're going to stop the SC Linux. So to do that, I'm just going to use, I go to SC Linux, SC Linux config. So I'm using VI editor, the Vim editor. So use I for insert mode. Then SC Linux for enforcing, let's disable it. Okay, so disabled means no SC Linux policy is loaded. Okay, so let's put it at disabled. Okay, so then press escape, then save that. Okay, good. Then the second thing we're going to do is to stop the firewall. So I'll use a system CTL command. Then I say stop firewall service. So then I disable firewall after that. Okay. So let's disable the firewall. Good. So firewall is disabled, SC Linux is being removed. Okay. So as I've told you, to move from this window to the outside window becomes a challenge unless I press the right control key. So let's see how to solve that. So under, let me just close this first. Let me exit here. Sorry. So under devices here, okay, under devices, so you click on insert guest additional CD. Let's cancel this. Right click again, open a terminal, then switch user to root. The password for root. Then I want you to us to change directory to run media on James VBox. So if we list there, you will see that there are different additional setups for VirtualBox. So we're going to use this one for Linux, okay? VirtualBox Linux additions. So to run that script, because as you can see, this is a script that we're going to run, a shell script. So VBox Linux. So we set up that. So it is installing the additional modules. So that will maybe take some time. So let me pause that before it finishes. So this one is done. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to shut down this VirtualBox machine. So just exit here. Now, before even that, you can see now I can move my mouse wherever without any challenges, okay? So you can see if you've done it correctly, you're able to move your mouse wherever, you don't have to press any key. So let's exit here. Then let's shut down this machine. So we power it off. Okay. Now there's one more setting that we need to do. This is just a personal preference that I like. So under shared folders, there's something that I like to set up. Once I've downloaded the software on my Windows machine, I come to downloads here. There's this is a software that already I've downloaded for the Oracle Database PLC R2. So I'll just click on it. This is just a folder I've created, calling it non-CDB. You can name it wherever you want. So select that folder, choose auto mount, then okay. So let's also add this particular folder here. I'll explain later what it is for. Under downloads, then scripts. So any scripts that I like, I just put them under there. Then it's easier to just get them from my Linux machine. So I've attached those two as shared folders. Then okay. Then we start our VirtualBox machine again. So I'll post this until when it's done. Let me see if this can run faster than that. Okay. Not sure if it's going to take some time or it's going to show me. Okay, so let me pause the recording for now. Oh, seems it's moving. Oh, great. So there's this user now, Oracle. Okay, this is a user that we're interested with. We really don't want to log in as James anymore. So we go to Oracle, we put the password with the Oracle, and then we sign in. Okay, so I'll post that. So we go through the same motions again. So just next, because a new user, skip, start using, it's a new screen again, just close that. Okay. So it seems I have to set up the screen settings again. So under display, let's change it again to maybe that supply. I think that's okay. So though it's not, that's not fine because scrolling past the screen. So let's see, what did I choose? So 1280, 800 is gonna be big. So let's go with this. See, yeah. So this is okay. Okay, so as you can see, if you notice well, you can see the two shared folders here, non-CDB as a shared folder and also scripts also as a shared folder with SF, okay? So let's open a terminal. Also something that I like to do is let me make a directory. TMP, then under temporary, let me call it softwares. Okay. So after making that directory, then let me switch user to root. And we cd to media. Maximize this. So if we list what is there, you can see there are the two shared folders are there, and they are owned by root. And this user, vbox shared folder user. So we're going to copy this, copy everything SF to TMP softwares. Okay, so let's copy everything. Yeah. Good. So it's going to copy those two particular softwares to that particular folder that we directory that we created. Okay. So let me just pause before it finishes. So that is done. So let's list. Let's just check what is there under TMP softwares. So there are the two shared folders are there, but they are owned by root users. So we want to change the ownership of the two to Oracle in the install group on TMP softwares. So in that ownership, then we also grant the necessary permissions. So gmod. Okay. Good, so that if we list now, we're able to see that now the user is Oracle and the group is all installed and the necessary permissions. Great. So let's exit this and then we now cd to our folder, softwares. Okay, so we have the two softwares here. Now, I want us to cd to the 12C software. Okay. You can see this. So this is our the software we had downloaded. It's a zip file, okay? The 12C database software, it's a zip file. So we unzip it. So we unzip it here. So it's going to take some time. So let me pause again. So that one is done. So let me clear this. So if we list, we can see now there is this folder here, directory called database. So let's cd to database. And that is the one that contains the installer. Okay, so this is the installer shell script. So we run it. So run installer. So you just enter that. So far so good. If you're here, you need to give yourself a pat in the back. I don't know how, but you're doing well. You're doing well. So we're going to be using, if you look very well, we're going to be using what is called a tool called Oracle Universal Installer. You can see here, launching Oracle Universal Installer. So that is the one that is used to install the Oracle software. Okay. So come here, say, I wish to receive and check that for password. Next. It's complaining, but just say yes. Now choose Oracle database software only. Okay, don't, you can also create, you can install the software and also create a database, but let's install the binaries. So install the database software only first. So single instance database installation next. Enterprise edition next. So this is the Oracle base and this is the Oracle home. Now there's something that I'm not sure if we have done. We may need to do that. So allow me to cancel this, and you needed to do this before you start this installation. Okay. So initially there are two scripts that we looked at. There are two folders that we looked at. So let me go back and then cd to SF scripts. There's this script here. So we need to change our bash. Okay, so let me read this. This script is the one that we're going to use to set up our bash. Okay, so this is very important before we continue. So make sure you do this before you start the installation. Okay, so let's copy that. Rather, let me choose edit copy. That's a better way. Then a file, let me open a tab. Then I cd space so that when I do pwd, I'm under home Oracle. Then here, let's change the bash. The bash profile. So insert, I for insert, then under path, let me go down there, then edit, then paste. Okay. The only thing I'm going to remove here is this one here. First name, so we remove that. Then I save this. So now you understand the purpose of that. The other script was basically for me to be able to type this without really coming to type. So I have already typed in text and then I just copy paste it. So once you do that, to save these changes, you have to source. So source to save the changes. Then I think we may need to log out. Use Oracle, so click Oracle logout. Click logout. Then we log in again as user Oracle. So Great. Open a terminal again. CD to TMP softwares database now. So we now run the run installer. Okay. Good. So it's going to launch the Oracle Universal Installer to install the software now. Maximize this a bit. So remove that. Next. Yes, install database software only. Next. Single instance. It's an enterprise edition. So it has an Oracle base and an Oracle home. And you can see from the bash we have edited, that is our Oracle home that we have chosen. Then next here, then all these groups that we had created. So those are the groups that user Oracle belongs to. And now he can be able to access them because he's the one who is installing the software. So these are prerequisite checks. So I think all of them have passed, everything is okay. So we click install. Good, so that's also going to take some time. So I'm going to pause this until when it's done. Great, so from here, there are two scripts that we need to run. So there are also some instruction here to follow to be able to do that. So I'm just going to open a terminal. Let me open a tab actually. And then I switch user to root. Password. Then I'm going to run the first script. So that's the first script. It's a shell script. So that one is done. After that, we're going to run the second script, which is under Oracle Home. Then root, that's a second shell script. So here I'm just going to accept the default setting and also default no. So good. So we're done. So this one is done. We run the two scripts. So we say okay, then we say close. So we are through in installing the Oracle software binaries. So even if there are tools like SQL Plus, if I say SQL Plus, no log, you can see SQL Plus is already there, right? Good. Now, the second thing, the third thing we're going to do, because we said to install the Oracle software, you need to prepare the environment, which we did. You need to install the software, which you've just done using the Oracle Universal Installer tool. Now we create a database. To create a database, use the Database Configuration Assistance, the DBCA tool, okay? So that's the tool you're going to use to install or to create a database. So DBCA, enter. So it's going to start the database configuration assistance tool, which you're going to use to create a database. So you can see here database configuration assistance. So using it, you can create a database, you can configure a database, you can also delete a database, manage templates and other things. So because there's no other database, so you can see all these options are grayed out. So let's use create a database. The next, maximize this. Choose advanced configuration. That's how I like to set it up. It's a general purpose. Then the SID, you can choose whichever SID you want here. So I'll just leave the default ORCL. Then for now, we're not going to create a container database, okay? But basically, trolls, remember it's for container databases, but we're not going to really go to create a container database for now. Next. So we can choose a location where the data files are going to be, and also we're going to use a file system storage type. Okay, so we're just going to use file system where all files are just put in the file system in a particular directory. So this is where our files are going to be. Next, we don't set up the recovery area at the moment. So we create a listener. So I'll just create a listener with the default name listener and the default port. So this is normally the default port for our listener. So we're just going to use that, but you can change that, no issue. No need of configuring the vault and label security. Then for purposes of learning, make sure you choose the sample schemas. Okay, so click on sample schemas here and then click add the sample schemas. That's basically for purposes of learning. So if you're using your database for learning, then you have to set up those sample schemas. Memory management, let's just use the default AMM. Later, you can change to ASMM and on and on, but that is a different topic for another day with another video maybe. So this is the EM Express port. Let's configure that with the default settings. Then let's use the same administrative password here. So I'm just going to set a password. And I type that password again. It's complaining, but just say yes. Create a database next. It's going to give me a summary of all the setups that I'm going to do for that particular database, plus the initialization parameter, as you can see it here, the database settings, the data files, the control files, the redo log files, all of them. Then we click finish. So the installation starts. So I'm going to give it some time to see it at 5% before I post that. Good. So I'll post this until when it's done again. Wow. So if you have reached this far, congratulations, you have done well. Okay, so we have finished database creation. So click close. Good. So we can issue SQL plus. No log. I can try to connect sysdb. Good, connected. Then alter user char identified char. Great. So then I connect to HR user. Password. Good. I'm connected. So I'll select. Wonderful. Great. So that's it. We have finished the installation of Oracle Database.c release 2 on Oracle VirtualBox on Oracle Linux 7.3. So that's it. Hit the subscribe button and also a like if this video has benefited you. Thank you, and that was great. Bye for now.